in the Guildhall and in the chamber, and it's good to see so many people who have returned. And I know we have some that are still online for whatever circumstances, but it is fantastic to see such a good turnout in the chamber. It's been a long time since we have managed to get back into the chamber for full council. I think we're coming up to nearly 3 years at this stage, so it's exciting for us all to get back in. So these are all very welcome. But before I start the meeting, I'm going to hand to the Chief Executive for the notice and summons of the meeting and our attendance and apologies.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, members. To all members of Derry City and Strabane District Council, you're hereby summoned to attend the monthly meeting of the Council, which will be a hybrid meeting conducted remotely via WebEx and physically here in the Council Chamber, Guildhall, Wednesday the 23rd of November at 2 o'clock. Alderman Breslin.
Here, John.
Alderman Devaney.
Here, John.
Alderman Guy. Alderman Hussey.
Online, regrettably, open to circumstances.
Alderman Kerrigan.
Here, John.
Alderman McCready. Alderman Thompson.
Here, John.
Alderman Wark. Here, John. Councillor Jason Barr.
Here, John.
Councillor Raymond Barr.
Here, John.
Councillor John Boyle. Councillor Michaela Boyle.
She's on her way, Joe.
Thank you. Councillor Carr.
Here, John.
Councillor Cusick. Councillor Dobbins.
Here, John.
Councillor Donnelly.
On his way, I think.
Councillor Doyle. Councillor Duffy.
Sure.
Councillor Edwards.
Apologies.
Councillor Farrell.
Here.
Councillor Ferguson.
Here, John.
Councillor Fleming. Councillor Gallagher.
John.
Councillor Harkin. Councillor Heaney.
Sure, John.
Councillor Jackson. Councillor Kelly. Councillor Logue. Councillor McGinley.
Sure, John.
Councillor McGowan. Councillor McGuire. Councillor McHugh. Councillor McKinney.
Here, John.
Councillor Mooney.
Here, John.
Councillor Norris. Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Riley. Councillor Senoy Barr. And Councillor Tierney.
Here, John.
Thank you, members.
Thank you, Chief Executive. And just to read the broadcasting notice, I would like to remind everyone present at this meeting in the Guildhall or in attendance remotely that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. The broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you're consenting to being filmed and to the use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. Just on that request to speak, I would just like to highlight to the chamber as well, I am partially sighted, so a nod of the head will not be seen. So if you are in the chamber and you are requesting to speak, please let me see you. Yeah, exactly. So no, that would be greatly appreciated because I won't see a nod of the head. So moving on then to chairperson's business for this evening's meeting. I have already welcomed you and expressed the delight in getting back into the chamber. So just a few things that I want to note over the course of the last month. Probably the first of those being Halloween and our full return to our Halloween programme and how extraordinary that was and how brilliant it was for our city and district, and the recognition that we got internationally as well for the full return of our festival. So I just want to put on record my thanks and congratulations to the council officers who had worked extremely hard on making it a success. The numbers into the city certainly did pay testament to that, and even the rain didn't put people off. So we had great numbers out on the street. So well done. The second is just in terms of congratulating Derry City Football Club on the FAI Cup Final 1. It was a fantastic time for our city and district. I can hear myself now. If somebody is online and has their mic on, could they turn it off? Not sure who it is. So just fantastic for our city and district, and it gave us all a huge lift, and there was huge civic pride associated with it. So I want to just put on record our congratulations to Rory Higgins and all the lads on the team and all the backroom staff as well. So excellent job. The next item that I have for Chairperson's business is just in relation to our December meeting. Traditionally, we would have had a December meeting without motions. Recently, we have had motions. I would like to just request that for our December meeting this year, we return to no motions. We have had a really difficult time over the last number of years, so I think that it would be a nice gesture for the staff here in the Guildhall as well that we don't hear motions at the next council meeting for December, and we finish for Christmas. Are you looking in on this? 2 seconds and I'll bring you in. So that would be a request in relation to that. And then just following on Christmas itself, we have a charity night in terms of the Mayor's Charity for the 3rd of December here in the Guildhall as well. So if anybody is looking for a ticket or a table, please let the Mayor's office know. So Graham, over to yourself in relation to something I've just talked about.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. It's good to be back in the Guildhall. It's been a long time. We're all gathered here, so it's good to see that. And a big congratulations to Council once again for a fantastic Halloween festival. I think the numbers spoke for itself, and obviously everybody really benefited in the city with the hotels, the restaurants, and it was great to see that buzz back again. I'd like to say a huge congratulations to the Derry City Football Club and the buzz we've seen in the city during the Monday event here, and it was good. And congratulations to Rory and all the team here, and a special shout out to young Jack Lemonnion too. I know pretty well, and I thank Derry City Football Club especially for the year I had as mayor and support of me. So it was good, and a huge congratulations on that. And on the December meeting, Mayor, I would like to just propose that. I think we've done it last year. I think it worked very well. We did it really happy numerous occasions before it, but if that is a proposal, Mayor, I'd like to propose that there is no motions brought forward to December's meeting, and I look forward to supporting you and the charity night next Saturday night here in the Guildhall, and it's good to see them events coming back here to the Guildhall. It's a good charity, so it should be a very good night, so thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Mark. Councillor Tierney.
Mayor, thank you. And just to join with you in agreeing that it's good to be back in the Guildhall for full council. I think it will be hopefully very interesting over the next couple of days as we try and roll out and get some important work done. And I think we should also give a huge thanks to Paul Jackson and his team at IT for facilitating us and facilitating many long council and committee meetings and working group meetings, and making sure that during the pandemic that this council was able to come together virtually and do our work. And I know others can speak for themselves, but I know in terms of during my term as mayor, Paul and the IT team were very accommodating, particularly as we were just going through the pandemic. So I think that should be acknowledged as well. I'll also join with you on behalf of the SDLP to congratulate the council officers around Halloween. I think again we have shown the very best of what the city and district has to offer, and it was a huge success and enjoyed by many families across this district, and may I say, Mayor, and beyond, because lots of people from across the north and further afield travel to Derry and Strabane to celebrate Halloween, as we know it's the world-class destination for that time of year. As a Derry City fan, I'm delighted that you included Derry City, and congratulations in your chairperson's business. I was at the game in the Aviva Stadium, and it was absolutely fantastic to have Derry City bring the cup back up the road, but with such a resounding victory added, I think, to the occasion, and a huge well done to Rory Higgins and everyone involved at Derry City. I think Derry City's success, and for anyone who does attend the Brandywell for home games, the Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium for home games will see the huge interest from people right across the city and district to attend the Brandywell. And I think, may I say, I think it opens a lot of questions for this council around future development at the Brandywell, but I think it also opens a lot of questions for the Department for Communities around the regional substadia funding and things like that. And we would be very keen to see that conversation hopefully being ramped up over the coming weeks and months. We just, Mayor, in finishing in relation to your suggestion around motions, not that we're trying to avoid raising important issues in December, but we understand the reasoning why. And on behalf of the SDLP, we're happy to oblige and follow your direction of travel. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cheney. Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Mayor. And it's good to be here in full council for the first time. I think there's a few of us who were COVID entrants. So it's, and thanks to the council staff for setting that all up, because I know it doesn't just happen. So thank you. But yeah, I want to congratulate Derry City Football Club on behalf of People Before Profit as well. I think the team not only on the pitch did the city proud, but in the whole build up and how they outreach to a lot of the primary schools, and they really were like role models. And I know if you talk to any primary school kid, they still have a buzz and excitement about Derry City, and I think it'll have stirred a passion in a lot of young people to become involved in sports and football. So just a massive congratulations, and also just to echo the congratulations on Halloween as well. Like, it's one of my favourite times of year personally, but I think, the council did itself very, very proud, and thanks to all the council officers, because, it's just a massive, bit in the calendar, and we never want to let anybody down, and I don't think we did. But particularly the carnival, I think, was something to be immensely proud of, because it showcased, the talent and the creativity within the local community. And I know that the Carnival Initiative does that on a very, very small budget. And I think, they always outdo themselves in terms of the creativity that they use. I know that there was kind of discussions around the art sector, around utilising and working with local artists to really showcase the local talent that we have in the city and district. And I suppose I'm just wondering, will there be like a reflection, had with, council officers and, local art scripts, that we have around the city and district, to kind of like reflect on what went well this year, what could have been better to make 2023 even better. So that's just a question. And, People Before Profit also are happy to endorse that there's no motions next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Raymond Barr online.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to congratulate council officers on the Halloween celebrations on Strabane, which were well received and well supported despite the inclement weather. And I'd also like to congratulate Derry City Football Club on their FA Cup final success. It certainly was a momentous occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barr. Alderman Devaney online.
Thank you, Mayor, and I do apologise. I called you Chair. I should have called you Mayor. But first of all, I just want to put on record our thanks to Paul Jackson and the IT team. I attend many meetings online now, and probably this one here is probably the most professional and well delivered one online that I have attended. Secondly, and around the Halloween across the city in Londonderry and Strabane, well done to everyone involved with it. An excellent piece of work once again, despite the inclement weather. And Mayor, look, I have no problem in joining with the rest and congratulating Derry City on their excellent win and winning the cup final. But Mayor, I do wait the response, as I had raised the issue earlier, and it's not the players, and around the chanting from the fans at a match earlier on when Her Majesty had passed away, and I just await that response. And I don't believe, John, we have got any response on that yet. But thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Devaney. Councillor Jackson.
Mayor, and firstly, can I note that Councillor Kelly's having technical problems? I think he's he's on the call as a telephone caller, but he's working to get online, but just to note his attendance. And on behalf of Sinn Féin, again, just congratulate everybody on the work that was done to deliver a very successful Halloween programme. The city and district has world-renowned Halloween as a Halloween destination, and this year we certainly lived up to that reputation. So we know that a lot of work is under it, and we as a council and we as a party fully appreciate everybody that's and all the efforts that goes into that. In relation to being back here in the Guildhall, it is great, and it is another step towards moving back into normality. I know a lot of the council committee meetings take place in person, and but it is, again, it's a natural progression as we move back to normality that we have these full council meetings. So it is good to have the conversations and have everybody in the same room. And hopefully it leads to a good meeting, and we can get through the business. In relation to Derry City, I want to echo what's already been said. On behalf of ourselves, we want to congratulate Rory and the team, not only on how they've conducted themselves on the pitch over the season, but how they've conducted themselves off the pitch. As Councillor O'Neill has alluded to, getting into schools, being ambassadors for our city and district, and they generated quite a lot of energy and excitement in the lead up to the cup final, particularly amongst young people. But even afterwards, I know we speaking to some of the players, and a lot of them were looking forward to a well-deserved break. I know in some of the schools this week, there's schools in the waterside that the players were visiting today. They're continuing to keep that excitement going amongst the young people. So I want to commend the efforts of the entire team, everybody involved with Derry City Football Club, for what has been a tremendous season. And I think it goes without saying that there is something magical that's happening within the club at the minute. People recognise that. And we as a council, if there's anything that we can be doing to support Derry City, we as a council should certainly, I think we're pushing on an open door in relation to that. We fully support the redevelopment of the Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium. And if there's anything we should be doing as a council, or having the conversations with a department to try and get the regional stadium fund unlocked and delivered, then we should be doing it. Mayor, just finally, I just want to mention on the cup final, I want to thank yourself for organising the homecoming event, because it was a fitting opportunity for the people of this city and district to congratulate and welcome home the cup winning team. So it was, I found it was a carnival atmosphere. It was well fitting for the achievement. So I just want to thank yourself for taking that initiative, putting that measure in place so the people of this city could welcome the team home. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for letting me in. Mayor, I'd like to add our alliances. Congratulations to all council officers on working with Halloween. Halloween was an absolutely amazing year this year within the city and district, as it has been in previous years, and you can see the hard work that is now being done in the works towards the Christmas lights this weekend. So it's just an absolutely great achievement and something we have to be proud of. And again, to congratulate Derry City Football Club for their winning the cup. I think that the buzz around the town has been absolutely amazing. I know this morning we were at a school and all they could talk about was Derry City and what your experience was on that Sunday, and the kids have really got involved. And I think, if anything, that's a core memory making there for a lot of these children. I know myself as a child going around the Guildhall beeping the horn whenever they'd won many moons ago. And I think that's something that these children are grow up and always remember. So well done to them, and anything we can do to support them, more than happy to. Mayor, when it comes to the December meetings, absolutely, the staff deserve more than enough for us not to be doing motions that night so they can enjoy their Christmas time. So happy enough to support that. And Mayor, looking forward to your charity night on the 3rd of December. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. And lastly, Alderman Hussey, online.
Thank you, Mayor, and sincere apologies to yourself and all colleagues that because of circumstances I found myself unable to get down to the meeting this afternoon. And like others, I congratulate all staff on being able to put together the technicalities that allow this to take place, and indeed continuing the technicalities allowing us who can't attend to get into the meeting. With regard to Halloween, again, of course, congratulate all staff involved in the city events and indeed the Strabane events. But I also would say a thank you to our events team who have helped begin to get restarted, shall we say, the Apple Fair event in Castleberg, which all around the whole Halloween events calendar, and in fact indeed is the kickoff point for that. So a big thanks to the events team. There is evaluation to follow up on that, more work to be done, but it's a darn good restart that is much appreciated by folk in Castleberg, and I'm sure other smaller communities with their particular Halloween events. Moving on to Derry City, of course, the club, the players, and the majority of fans deserve congratulations for what has been a fantastic achievement. And I would congratulate the football club not alone on the achievement on the pitch, but the way that the club is developing, because it's my understanding that there's an emphasis on bringing local talent into the player pool. And that's something which can only benefit not just the club, but every other club in and around the area. And to hear the after-match engagement that players, and I'm sure the background staff have been engaged in within the city and the schools is very heartening and good for the game to develop. And as I say, you know, other clubs will benefit. Should it be Stewart, should it be Derryview, should it be Finn Harps? That whole success thing does send out waves that impact positively on the rest of the football fraternity. And I regret to have to say, however, there was an incident on the Sunday morning in Sion Mills where 4 or 5 coaches were passing through the village. The lights at the War Memorial were red and the buses had to stop. Now, I've been informed that there was jeering and abuse emanating from some of the coaches with regard to those who were observing a 2-minute silence. It was Remembered Sunday at the Sion Mills War Memorial. And indeed, insults were shouted at the local Church of Ireland minister who was crossing the road at that point to come along to the short vigil which was taking place. I'm sure members will regret that that happened. I don't know if these were official coaches on their way down to Dublin or not, but it has to be, you know, we can't sweep that under the carpet. And I would trust that the good fans of the club and the club itself will try to address it's unacceptable that should happen. And coaches, when they're passing through, if there's something of that nature happening, they should be respectful and go on about their business and go on to support the team properly when they arrive down Dublin. Thank you, Mayor. Thank
you, Alderman Hussey. And I suppose my experience of all the fans have been nothing but respectful. So I apologise. I haven't heard that report at all. Moving just on to the next item that I have for chairperson's business, and it's my last item, and I just want to take the opportunity to welcome Councillor Declan Norris to the council, representing the Fahan ward. You're very welcome, and it's good to have you here in the chamber, back in person, so to speak, rather than online. You'll get much more of a flavour of what goes on, hopefully. So you're very welcome. And on that note, I will bring in Councillor Tierney, who wishes to make a number of changes to committees.
Yes, Mayor, thank you, and join with you in welcoming Declan Norris to his first official council meeting. Declan has been a lifetime member of the SDLP and a community activist in the Fahan area, growing up in Strathfoyle and now setting up home in Eglinton with his wife and 3 adult children. And we're delighted to have Declan. We've always relied on Declan's support within the wider community, but we're delighted now to have him join our team here on Derry City and Strabane District Council. On that note, Mayor, I would like to make a number of changes to committees, which I've already informed the committee section, but to make them publicly and for the record. On governance and strategic planning, Declan Norris will replace Councillor John Boyle. On E&R, Declan Norris will replace Councillor Angela Dobbins. On audit, assurance and risk, Councillor Angela Dobbins will replace Councillor Lillian Sinoy Barr. And then for outside bodies, Mayor, on the board of Rapid, Declan Norris will replace Sean Mooney, and on the Peace Plus partnership, Declan Norris will replace Councillor Angela Dobbins. Mayor, I know that I've sent this on to the committee section. I know that the round of meetings this month are coming at us quickly, so if those could be noted and actioned in line for early next week, that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tierney. Those are all noted. Councillor Tierney, I am going back to you, and then I'll go to Councillor Doyle in terms of you want to table condolences.
Yes, Madam Mayor, and thank you for allowing me in, and I thank Councillor Doyle as well, because I know that he had also contacted you looking to raise the same issue. Mayor, on the 16th of November, Joy McMenamin passed away, who many will fondly remember as Joy McGettigan. Joy was a lifetime member and activist of the SDLP and supported and helped literally generations of SDLP elected representatives go about their business in her quiet and unassuming way. Joy's daughter, Aisling, is an elected representative for the SDLP in Causeway Coast and Glens, and I've no doubt that her passion for public life and for the values and principles of the SDLP stem very clearly from Joy's involvement with our party, and we're all saddened, at her passing, and we want to pass our condolences, Mayor, to her partner Hugo and her children Aisling, John and Amy at this very difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tierney. Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Mayor. And to echo what Brian has said, Joy was a very special lady. She was very generous with her time, her experience and her expertise to someone like me of a young age who was just getting involved in public service. She was a bit of a character. She always was able to get the crack going. Even on a very windy and cold night, when you were out at that time delivering leaflets or speaking to residents, she always kept everybody going. I was deeply saddened and shocked to hear of her passing. I had actually spoken to Aisling about 3 weeks ago and asked how her mother was, as I haven't seen her in a long time. Her dedication to the people of Derry was something else. You know, she was of that generation that saw Derry transform from being somewhere that was very difficult to live to trying to see a bright future. I want to send my condolences and on behalf of Aintu to Hugo and the wider family because she will be dearly missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Doyle and Councillor Tierney for raising that. I didn't know her, but I'm content to send condolences to the family at this time. Councillor Doyle, you wish to raise an item under Chairperson's business?
Thank you again, Mayor. Much appreciated. We all probably have heard of the case in the last week, 10 days of the young boy, Awab Ishak in Rochester, who met his death due to mould in his home that he shared with his father as a result of respiratory illness. I don't think that it's any secret that for many of us who are out and about, who focus on housing cases in this city and district, that mould is a problem. Condensation is not the catch-all word for absolutely everything, despite what some maintenance officers or private landlords would like to have you believe. We have a fantastic environmental health team who provide guidance and help for residents and businesses right across this city. And we should encourage anyone who's concerned about mould in their homes to make contact with them because again, I've been contacted, and I know many other members would have been, about young children developing coughs in homes as a result of mould. I am very saddened to say that whenever I saw the pictures of the young boy's home in Rochester, I thought to myself, and scarily thought, I have seen worse in Derry. And I believe actually a number of months ago, whenever we had senior officers from housing associations here, I believe Alderman Devaney had shown pictures, but I had shown a picture of a dwelling in Galia that had mushrooms growing out of the walls. It's important for us to send a message that regardless of who your landlord is, that is unacceptable. And I do have a short proposal which I've sent to the team, and effectively it is asking for the management of the housing executive, who has written to you about this, and other housing associations, as a result of this case, to review and where appropriate adapt or remediation practices for damp and mould, because it is a health issue, and it is not acceptable that anyone should live in those conditions in this day and age. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Do you have a seconder for that proposal? Councillor Donnelly. Thank you. Councillor Donnelly, you're next to speak. So.
Thank you, Chair, and I'd like to thank Councillor Doyle for bringing this up. Awab's death, it could have been prevented, and unfortunately there are similar conditions in this city, and watching it on the British news recently, there's cases here that I could very, very clearly relate to, and the excuses used by housing association regarding the whole condensation, condensation versus damp. I've been to homes within the last week, in one in the Bogside and one in the Brandywell, where the people in there, when one's a single man who's had to move his bed into the living room and whose health has deteriorated. I have to say that I contacted the Housing Association Housing Executive, and they responded immediately. And are dealing with. There are ones in the Brandywell who it's a problem that's gone on for years, and they'd already dug up the kitchen and dug up the back porch and that. But I think there was a petition in Britain that had 80,000 signatures within 5 days. So I think we do have these issues. They are there, and the associations need to stop making. We are burying somebody for similar conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Logue.
Yes, I'd just like to thank Councillor Doyle for raising this issue. It certainly is something that all councillors work with on a day and daily basis, and we have come up against, wash it off with bleach and keep washing it and everything will be all right, and it's certainly not acceptable. There are huge problems both in the social and private rented sector homes, and these need to be addressed properly, and I would urge all those who have responsibilities for repairs and maintenance to take an in-depth look at what has happened here, and maybe retrain the maintenance people while they go out and inspect the properties, and they need to be putting on some more meaningful measures to help address damp and mould within houses. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Logue. Councillor Riley.
Thanks, Mayor, for bringing me in, and thanks also to Councillor Doyle for raising this issue here this afternoon. And can I agree with not just his comments and those of other elected members after him, but also just offer the SDLP support for the motion that's on the screen before us. This is something that is causing huge disruption to people right across our council area. Just before the Assembly, caretaker ministers had their term expire. Our Foyle MLA Mark Histork asked a question in relation to the number of properties that have damp in this council area, but across all of the 11 council areas across Northern Ireland, and over 45,000 houses are experiencing damp within our council area. About a tenth of those, over 4,500, have been reported over the past 5 years, and in last year alone, that figure is over 1,100. So there's clearly an issue here, and we all have seen the news and the heartbreaking story of the death of the toddler in Rochdale, and I think that we should, as a public authority, be looking at what we can do to encourage the relevant Assembly department, the Department for Communities, to take action on this, and certainly as has been outlined by Mark Histork, there's 481 properties in our council area have received cavity wall insulation, and cavity wall insulation isn't a panacea to this issue. We know that people are struggling to heat their homes. We know that people are struggling to keep their homes warm, as well as making the decision to switch the heat on in the first place. So this is really important, and as I said, I'm happy to support it on behalf of the SDLP. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Rennie. Councillor Jackson.
Thanks, Mayor. And I suppose Councillor Logue has indicated our support for the proposal. I just hadn't seen Councillor Logue indicate, but just picking up on the points that others have made, because homes is a major issue right across our city and district, and one of the examples that spring to mind is the Waterside Triangle. When we're talking about damp homes, the Waterside Triangle, it's well established where there's issues with water ingress. There's water literally running down homes, and I have seen in the past few years where the housing executive have come out and advised residents that they open windows, they take measures to prevent against condensation, and that's one of the most extreme examples where it's well established that a scheme's needed to address problems with damp, but it's still been put down to condensation. So action needs to be taken to fix this problem, and anything we can do as a council, and we should be doing it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to Councillor Doyle for raising this issue. I've seen the story myself, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. But like many other councillors in this chamber have said, this is a common story for many of us to see families who are living in this level of damp. And I don't blame the housing advisors for the lack of resources that they do have. I know that they're dealing with a minimum amount of resources, so they're trying to advise. But there are sometimes when I look at this article, the housing officers, in this case of the young 2-year-old boy, assumed that the family were bathing him and leaving water on the floor, and it was that assumption that led to this wee boy, having fungus in his bloodstream. And I have seen examples of this where, someone's assumed it's a lifestyle choice or something that has impacted, and it's not. It's just the house from, mold going over buggies in the hallway to, just per installation. So we're more than happy to support anything that we can do to make sure that this doesn't happen within our city and district, because unfortunately it is something very common that we see a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Doyle, for raising this issue. And People Before Profit will be happy to support it. And what happened to Awab and his family, it was an absolute tragedy in Rochdale. And I suppose one of the worst parts of it is that the family tried again and again and again to rectify the problem. So they didn't sit in their hands. They actually tried to get it sorted out, and there was a complete failure by those with responsibility to sort out the issue. And as others have said, look, I personally have been in situations where people in houses have been constantly calling for help, whether it be a housing association or another body, and it's taken years to get issues sorted out, and they've been told what they're doing is the problem, rather than actually accepting that there are issues with damp in houses, given where we live, and so on. There are many other issues connected to that. So it is the case even now that we do have deaths that aren't necessarily recorded that are due to respiratory issues. We do have hospitalisations now that are due to mould and damp that might not be recorded. I think if we get a proper recording of this issue, we'll see the extent of the problem. But everybody knows that this is a huge issue in our district. It's not something that is going to happen because of the because of the state of houses. It's something that exists already. It takes this tragedy to put a spotlight on it. So I think we as a council should do what we can. The second thing I want to just point out in relation to this is the element, the role of racism played, because this was also about the family believed that they were treated this way because of the colour of their skin, because they weren't perceived to be from the local area or from the country, and that's also unacceptable. And we do hear, look, I was listening to Nolan today, and I heard too many callers calling in, basically saying, what are they complaining about? They should be happy to be in a hotel room with 5 kids. And it's also very disappointing as well that we have protests now in Dublin that are supposed to be about the issue of housing, but are actually racist protests about immigrants. And we should challenge any party that is willing to say to people who are anti-immigrant that they have a point, because that's a big part of the problem. There is a solution to the housing issues. It's not blaming immigrants. It's not blaming people for not drying their clothes properly. It's to have the proper type of investment and oversight into housing and seeing these issues properly addressed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Harkin. The proposal is there on the screens. It's proposed and seconded, and I haven't heard anyone say anything against it. And I think that
I wish to propose an amendment.
Sorry, Alderman Hussey?
I wish to propose an amendment.
Okay, you didn't indicate in the chat box, Alderman Hussey, so if you could indicate in future rather than just coming in, that would be useful for us all. So go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a very simple amendment. Further, that council ask their representative on the Housing Council to raise the matter at the next meeting of the Housing Council.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Seconder for the amendment.
I second that, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Defending. Okay, so we now have an amendment. Get it on the screen.
Sorry, that's Housing Council, not Executive. Northern Ireland Housing Council.
Through the chair.
Okay, so there's an amendment on the screen. Is everybody happy to support the amendment?
Sorry, Mayor, it's Northern Ireland Housing Council, not Executive.
That's right. Oh, at the end, yeah. Sorry, I didn't notice the end.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, we all happy to support the amendment? Yeah, okay, so the amendment is passed and the substantive motion is there. And again, I haven't heard anyone speaking against the substantive motion, so I'm going to declare it unanimously passed. So again, thank you to Councillor Doyle for bringing forward that proposal, a really important issue, as has been highlighted by everyone who spoke. I don't think that there's anyone in this chamber who has been working as a councillor that hasn't come across really scary instances and been told that it's condensation, and we all know that it's not. So no, really important issue, so thank you for bringing it forward. Okay, Alderman Devaney, I'm going to bring you in very quickly because you didn't contact me about chairperson's business, but I understand that Alderman Ramsey is no longer a councillor, so you just want to thank him for his service.
Thank you, and I thank you for allowing my indulgence. But first of all, I just want to put on record to welcome Councillor Norris. Looking forward to his input to the meetings and working along with him. And on the second note, I would like to say thank you to the outgoing Alderman David Ramsey for the work that he has carried out through his constituency in the Waterside on behalf of the DUP for the last 9-10 years. And look, thank him for that work and the work that he has done through the committees. And look, Mayor, I would also take this opportunity to welcome the new member who is coming in to fill that vacancy, is Nairi McMorris, who is well known within that community and voluntary sector experience and comes with a wealth of background. Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me that.
Thank you, Alderman Devaney, and that clears up my mystery of seeing Gary and Nairi around the council offices during the week. Moving on then to the minutes of the last council meeting. So that was the meeting of the 27th of October. So if I could get a proposer and seconder for accuracy to begin with.
So proposed, Alderman Devaney.
Thank you. Seconder?
Seconded, Alderman Houser.
Thank you. Any matters arising from the minutes? Go ahead, Alderman Gag.
Thank you, Mayor. Just under accuracy, and it's C421-22 Sport and Achievements. Hope that the team's manager was wrote. It was actually hope that the club's chairman would contact me, and I'm still waiting, as Alderman Devaney mentioned earlier. I have no issues with the team manager, who's done a great job. But club chairman hopefully does a better job of getting his money out and getting back to us. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderman Guy. Councillor Harkin, matters arising?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. And I want to say thank you to the Mayor for endorsing and supporting the We Demand Better March and Rally that's happening here in the city on Saturday at 1:30, gathering at Guildhall Square. I would hope, I know that some political parties have already backed it. I know people before profit have supported it. There's a lot of trade unions backing it. There's a lot of community organisations backing it. There's a lot of cost of living, anti-poverty campaign groups supporting it. And I would just urge everybody to get behind this. As everybody knows, the cost of living crisis certainly hasn't gone away. And we're in a situation here where basic things that even a Tory government have done are not being followed through on here. There is no date yet for the £400 energy support payment. There's no date set for the £200 oil heating payment. So there's basic things like that that people here are not able to access. And we know that there is many groups of workers that are being forced to take strike action for a pay uplift in the context of a cost of living crisis. We have the issue in the last week, or the last 2 weeks has really come to the fore as well, the crisis in our health service. So there's many wreasons for us to be on the streets, and there's many demands. And I think that now's the time really where we have no government, that it's absolutely crucial that we're mobilising in large numbers to make these demands and to show that there is that the struggling that many people face is not going unnoticed, and that we are pushing for changes to be introduced. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harkin. Alderman Hussey, you have two issues you wish to raise.
Three. Apologies, Mayor. Page 10, it's 424. That's the Seagate issue, and as you know, the meeting was held there the other night with workers and trade union. Second part of that was a meeting with Seagate management. Spoke to you on that night. Is there any indication from management that they will come and meet with council to investigate that particular situation? Do you want me to stop at that or move on to the other two?
Just stop there, and I'm going to bring Stephen in on that just very briefly, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Yes, Alderman Hussey, just to confirm that Seagate management will be meeting with the mayor tomorrow at 12 o'clock.
Thank you, Stephen. Mayor, is that an open meeting or just with yourself?
I believe that it's open to councillors and aldermen.
That's good. Thank you, Mayor. The second issue on the hardship fund, the issue of repairing of solar panels with the housing executive. I've had no feedback on that. Could I ask that we write to the housing executive and ask them for an update on what we verbally heard from their officials when they were with us in council? Could I actually make that a proposal that we would write to housing executive requesting an update on the matter?
That's fine. I'm prepared to take that. Let's go on to the next one.
And 442. Thank you. Parking provision, Stuart, on the second page. The Director of Business and Culture advised members would receive information reference the tender process for the Albert Street car park in Castlederg. Could I ask that at some stage, hopefully before Christmas, we would receive some further information on that and what the proposals are? And that would apply to all of the Derg elected representatives. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Hussey. That information will come. It's still been drafted as far as I know. So thank you, Alderman Hussey. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mayor. It's just C418/22, kind of on the William Street Baths. There was a local residents in touch, with a number of councillors, just about the possibility of making the learners pool in William Street Baths accessible for children with disabilities. Not in a way that it needs massive change, but if there was a way that whenever the works are being done, that accessibility could be thought of in terms of the installation of a hoist onto the learners pool, looking at the temperature that the learners pool will be at, and looking at wheelchair accessibility as well. I'm not sure if council are able to access different funds, for improving accessibility in council buildings. But it's of utmost importance because obviously, children with disabilities need to be thought of first, because the facilities for them are really few and far between, and it's a failure really of society if their needs aren't met with in our council facilities. So just to ask that question. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor O'Neill, certainly that should be something that should definitely be taken into consideration. Chief Executive, were you looking to speak? No, that'd be looked into. Okay, thank you. Councillor Harkin.
Yeah, it was just on the issue of the Seagate workers meeting, and I wanted to thank the Mayor for hosting the meeting the other night, and also workers that I've spoken to were very thankful for the political representatives that did come and voice support for their campaign, and thank you again for following up on the meeting with management.
Okay, Councillor Tierney.
Mayor, thank you. And just on the back of what Councillor O'Neill has said around city baths, we're fully supportive of making it accessible. But not only the learner pool, there's 4 or 5 steps to get you in the learner pool. But part of the problem with city baths, which I try to point out on a number of occasions, the whole facility isn't disabled friendly. And if we're going to look at the learner pool, and I can fully understand where Councillor O'Neill's coming from whenever she said that and support everything that she's saying, but we maybe should consider the entire facility because the big pool, if you like, isn't particularly disabled friendly either, and I think that's something that we should look at. Just in the back of Alderman Hussey and Councillor Harkin raising the Seagate meeting, thanks again for raising or for arranging that meeting. I found it extremely informative and was really interesting to speak to the workers who are facing the difficulties that they are at Seagate. And I do look forward, and I'm glad that someone has raised the meeting with management. I do look forward to having the opportunity to put those concerns on behalf of workers to the management. But Mayor, I've just checked with our group and no one has received notification of that meeting tomorrow. And if I heard you correctly, you said it was an open meeting, open invitation to all councillors, but we certainly haven't received any notification of that meeting. So can we just, I'm not questioning you, can we just check that the notification is either on the way or that it is an open meeting to all councillors, please? Thank you.
Just for your own information, I have been liaising with Stephen over the last day or two in relation to the meeting, and that's the first I've got confirmation that the meeting is actually happening because we have been following up on it. So the notification, I'm sure, will follow. Yeah. Okay, no further matters arising from the last full council meeting. So moving on to the open minutes of the committees. So monthly governance and strategic planning. Could I get a proposer and seconder
So
for
proposed, Alderman Devaney, or seconded?
Emma seconded, sorry. You don't open on. So seconded by Councillor McGinley. Any matters arising from governance? Councillor Farrell.
Yeah. Thanks, Mayor. It's item GSP 174. So that's where we had the discussion at governance and strategic planning about, the rumoured £400 that was meant to be coming to households right across the north to assist with the cost of living. An output of that discussion was that we were to write to the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy to ask them exactly when the £400 energy bill support scheme and the £100 alternative fuel payment would be made available to people right across the north. And I had hoped that we would have some sort of clarity by now, and we don't. Nobody has a clue, nobody has a notion, nobody has any idea when this money is going to be made available. And to make matters worse, the British Chancellor during the autumn statement made the announcement that every household across the north is going to get £400. He hasn't said when, and he further said that every household is going to get an extra £200, and again, no date has been provided. So we're asking for clarity, and all we're being given is uncertainty. And all the while, we've got thousands of families right across this city and district that are being crippled by the cost of living, being crippled by inflation. We haven't had a penny in support that desperately need this £600. And they're no clearer as to when they're going to get this or if they're going to get it. So I think it's a shambles. We need answers, but most importantly, the public need answers. And I have a brief amendment to the proposal that was made at the recommendation. We had said that we'd write to the relevant department. I think we have to expand that to make a direct request to the Secretary of State, because people need to know when this money is going to be made available. And the initial proposal included the £100 for the alternative fuel payment. We now know it's supposed to be 200 quid, so that's just a brief technical amendment. So the gist of it is we write to the department and the Secretary of State. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell. Seconder for that small amendment, Councillor Doyle. Okay, thank you. I'm happy to take that. Don't see anyone wishing to speak to it or speak against it, certainly, but just to endorse what you're saying, Councillor Farrell. I had the Minister for the North, Steve Baker, here 2 weeks ago to sign the Book of Condolence for Cruisla. I took the opportunity to challenge him around the £400 payment, and the only clarity I could get was soon. So I don't know how soon is, but not soon enough for very many people that I've been talking to, but I'm happy to take that amendment. Okay. Alderman Hussey, you have an item?
It's 176 on page 46, reference the Irish Unity Working Group. There's a proposal coming forward from committee. The minutes are totally accurate, but I wish to continue to record my opposition to that proposal from committee, and wish to table that council do not accept the recommended proposal via an Irish Unity Working Group coming from the Governance and Strategic Committee. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Hussey, and I think we were taking for granted your opposition to it and noting that. Have you a seconder for your proposal at this stage?
Ryan McCready, happy to second, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman McCready. I'm just going to check with the City Solicitor. Okay, I'm just going to take this to a vote because I do believe that it was debated at length in the chamber at the meeting. So I'll take it for a vote now. Those in favour of the proposal as tabled by Alderman Hussey and seconded by Alderman McCready. Show of hands. I suppose we're in the chamber. I can do that. No, there's online. Okay, can't. Got carried away there. Apologies. I'm going to pass to you then. We're going to go through and vote.
Mayor, is this on the proposal by Alderman Hussey?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Breslin.
For.
Alderman Devaney.
For.
Alderman Guy.
For.
Alderman Hussey.
For.
Alderman Carrigan.
For, John.
Alderman McCready.
For.
Alderman Thompson.
For, John.
Alderman Wark. Councillor Jason Barr.
Against.
Councillor Raymond Barr.
Against.
Councillor John Boyle.
Against.
Councillor Michaela Boyle. Councillor Carr.
Against, John.
Councillor Cusick. Councillor Dobbins.
Against, John.
Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Doyle. Councillor Duffy.
Against.
Councillor Farrell.
Against.
Councillor Ferguson.
Abstain.
Councillor Fleming. Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Harkin.
Against.
Councillor Heaney.
Against.
Councillor Jackson.
Against.
Councillor Kelly.
Against.
Councillor Logue. Councillor McGinley.
Against, John.
Councillor McGowan.
Against.
Councillor McGuire. Councillor McHugh.
Against.
Councillor McKinney.
Abstain.
Councillor Mooney.
Against.
Councillor Norris. Councillor O'Neill.
Against.
Councillor Riley. Councillor Tierney. Thank you, members. Mayor, I've recorded 8 for the amendment or the proposal, 27 against and 2 abstaining. So it's falls.
Thank you, Chief Executive. So that proposal falls. So the proposal that is in the minutes of the meeting still stands. Any further matters arising from the committee? No. Okay. Moving on then to the monthly meeting of Planning Committee held on Wednesday, 2nd of November. A proposer and seconder proposed by John Boyle, seconded by Councillor Mooney. Okay, any matters arising from the Planning Committee? Nope. Okay, moving on to the reconvened. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, with the portal now, which I'm aware will be down for a number of weeks, what way does that affect now we planning committee coming on? I wonder if the plan officer can come in and tell me that. What effect, obviously, delays coming on the planning? What way does that work now?
Yeah, Chair, Mayor, through you, the planning committee for December has been postponed. Simply the portal wasn't going to be up online in time for all the due diligence to be done for reports that would be coming forward in December. So that will lead no doubt to a lengthy and long agenda for the January planning committee meeting.
Thank you, Philip, for that. So the reconvened planning committee, proposer and seconder, proposed Councillor Boyd, seconded Councillor Mooney. Thank you. Any matters arising from the reconvened meeting? No. Okay, moving on to the monthly Business and Culture Committee held on Tuesday, the 8th of November. A proposer and seconder for accuracy.
No proposed, Alderman Devaney.
Thank you. Seconder.
A second.
Thank you, Councillor McGowan. There was an item that was held over, and I am going to pass to Stephen to take us through that item. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So there was an item that was held over which is relating to Christmas and the arrangements for Christmas. Members of the committee will be aware that we had brought forward previously various papers regarding Christmas and the various arrangements, but contained in those papers were grant aid, which was to three areas, namely Newton Stewart, Sion Mills and Castlederg, which was £1,000 each direct grant and £3,000 per neighbourhood renewal area. The members of the committee, we discussed that the issues have emerged and each year members will remember that there was various debates on how we do this and how we continue to do this going forward. But this year issues have emerged in Newton Stewart, which is kind of fast forward our thinking in terms of what we do going forward. So the original paper had two recommendations. One is for this year that the arrangement would be as is, and in relation to Newton Stewart, we would continue to give £1,000 directly to the group that we've always worked with as a council. But going forward into 2023, that the £18,000 in total would be wrapped up into a ring fence fund for Christmas. That would be part of our grant aid proposals, which are going out now. Hence the need for a decision at this stage. Members expressed concern on various levels. One, that rural groups may be disadvantaged. Two, that it may mean that certain DAs, it could fall out that they wouldn't get any Christmas activity, and others might get substantially more depending on the quality of the applications. Officers have looked at or considered the concerns from members, looked at the proposals, looked at what we can do, and there's over and above the original recommendations. Proposed one slight amendment is that when we go out for Christmas 2023, as part of Christmas 2023, we would ensure that at least one successful applicant in each DEA, subject to meeting the threshold of the grant aid, so that we would spread the £18,000 throughout the entire council area. That would ensure that at least there's some activity in every DEA area. So that's a slight amendment to the original recommendations, but over and above that, the original recommendations stand is that we continue to work with the group in Newton Stewart that we've always worked with for 2022. And then there's a ring-fenced £18,000 for Christmas grant aid activity going forward, which is part of our community festival funding. And that will be open now and for consideration usually about February time where we make those decisions and bring them forward to council with our recommendations. So that's the paper as it stands. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Councillor Farrell and then Councillor Heaney.
Thanks, Mayor, and thanks, Stephen, for the report. And it's no secret that we had an issue with the original recommendation from BNC, and we made the proposal that this was deferred to give us a chance to consider the matter further. And we're content with the revised recommendation. We want the process opened up so it gives groups and organisations across the city and district a chance to bid for funding to deliver Christmas activity in their respective areas. But we feel there should be protections in place to ensure that every single DEA across the north or across the council area benefits. What we wanted to avoid was a situation where some areas have a smorgasbord of Christmas programming and other areas have nothing. So this proposal ensures that each DEA has at least one successful application, and it means that the Christmas cheer is spread across the entire city and district. So I'm happy to formally propose that on behalf of the SLP. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell. Councillor Heaney.
Thank you, Mayor. There was a very lengthy discussion on this at committee, and our sole objective was to have a fair and transparent process, and we were quite content that the proposal, as it was, would have delivered on that, and would have been spread across the DEAs. However, based on Stephen's explanation, and if there's a way of doing that, because it was clear from council officers on the night that would be extremely difficult, but if there's a way of doing that, then we're content to support the proposal. Would just ask that in the interim year that the groups that would have usually have received this money are aware that this process is being changed, so that it's not coming as a shock.
Thank you, Councillor Heaney. You're seconding the proposal then?
Yeah, happy second.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Huss.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'm going to say I welcome the status quo being maintained this year to enable planned events to progress. Going forward, I can understand the logic of saying, yes, we'll have one in each DA. But I think our city councillors have to recognise the area that can be covered in our rural DEAs. And I think in my own DEA, there are 3 communities presently which benefit from this. There are 3 substantial communities, and they are widespread. So if it was a case that one of those was successful in a bid for the DEA, you have 2 communities who essentially suffer. Now, I know it's at least one, and I hope that that's something that may mitigate against that sort of situation developing going forward. But just a quick question. We talked about deferring for discussion. What discussion has taken place with the impacted groups, those who in the past have been receiving funding, those who would be added to that and would be actually seeking funding this year? So has there been discussion with those groups, and what results have come back from that type of discussion? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. I'll take one further speaker and then I'll come back to Stephen. Councillor McHugh.
Good, Mayor. Just a clarification. At that meeting, I'm just looking at the notes here. The officer stated that any application requesting funding for up to £1,000 would be prioritised. Just seeking clarification. Does that remain in the case? Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor McHugh. Stephen, if you want to clarify anything that...
Yeah, I mean, in terms of discussions, there have been ongoing discussions with the groups. The groups are aware that every year there's been issues with how we do it, and to make sure that the members are always keen to make sure it's fair and open and transparent. And they're aware that we were moving this way. We will directly discuss following decision of council. Clearly, that now that we can go out and discuss with those groups, none of it will be a surprise to the groups involved. In terms of the £1,000, yes, we will give priority to those £1,000 to try and get as much of a spread. We're aware that £18,000 on one way is a lot of money, and in other ways it's not a lot of money in terms of the numbers of groups. So to try and get as much of a spread as we can across the council district.
Thank you, Stephen. So that is proposed and seconded. So we're content to have that passed. Okay, moving on then. Any other matters arising? Councillor Maguire, I forgot your name.
Thank you, Mayor. I was late for that meeting, but
BC 182/22, business innovation and growth. It's in relation to the broadband in the rural areas and the areas that were missed in Project Stratum. And I wonder if we could get an update from the Department for Economy on what is the plan for them issues that were missed, the not spots.
No, I'm happy. We have an awful lot of information on that, but I'll get a report brought up for December's meeting just to update members on exactly where we are in our discussions with departments. So.
Okay, any further matters arising from business and culture? No. Okay, moving on to the monthly meeting of Environment and Regeneration. Could I get a proposer and seconder for accuracy?
I'll propose.
Proposed, Councillor Ferguson, seconded, Councillor McGinley. Any matters arising? Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mayor. It's just on my boy, ER 261/22. There was a presentation that's on DAERA's website from Tetra Tech, who've been appointed by the NIEA as integrated consultant team to help develop the remedial strategy for the Maboy site. But there's just a few points for clarity on this presentation, just from the information that was given from it. The first one is the presentation indicated that there's a greater volume of waste in Maboy that we were led to believe to date. So it's just like, how much waste are they now, because they've done a lot more investigative work, how much waste are they now estimating is currently in the Maboy site? They've changed from talking in cubic meters rather than in tons. And so kind of on that point, can they confirm that a cubic meter is not the same as a metric ton? Just because there's just confusion around the measurements that they're using to talk about the waste that's in Maboy. The second point on that presentation is that they've said the modelling now suggests that there's noxious contaminants are reaching the Faughan via groundwater and in quantities above safe levels. So again, it's just asking for more reassurance about the safety of the water in the River Faughan. The third point from that video, the video calls for advice and experience on how to manage community concerns. I think the key word there is manage, because, community concerns shouldn't be managed. They should be allayed, when it comes to this illegal dump. We wouldn't be as far as we are today without pressure from the local community in terms of trying to remediate this issue. So can DAERA give reassurances that their goal is not to manage community concerns, but to genuinely work with the local community so the concerns are allayed? And just the final point on Maboy, the sentencing for the criminal trial, and I know we have to be careful about what we're saying, but it's been delayed again till February. So can I just ask DAERA again, is it correct that the latest adjournment of sentencing is to allow the guilty parties to submit environmental evidence? And if so, who is carrying out these assessments? So those are, I know that council officers can't answer these questions, but if they could be asked just in preparation for the next ENR meeting, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill, and that's noted. I'm going to bring in Councillor McCready to begin with, because he is on the Maboy issue.
Madam Mayor, thank you very much. I don't have much confidence, and the confidence has been waning ever since we received the presentation from DAERA many months ago, where they were asking for council's endorsement on their kind of shortlisted options, which excluded the remediation in terms of getting this stuff lifted out of the ground. So has that changed? Has there been any follow-up from them on other options than the shortlisting that they did? Because as Councillor Maeve O'Neill rightly points out, the further they dig and the more investigation and the intrusive surveys that they've been doing, it's evident now that the quantity and indeed the content of which can be disastrous, and it's right next to our water source, and those levels have spiked. At what point do we accept this? Because at the moment it's just getting drawn out and drawn out. But when is the department going to take responsibility for what has happened? Clearly the criminal case is ongoing and the sentencing, and they'll be held to account through the judicial system. But that doesn't remove the concerns that we still have today with local farmers, local people, and those who are going to be drinking that water supply downstream. We need, as a council, to be more firm with our action and follow up with DERA, because having it on the agenda on environment regeneration seemed like a good idea and it was welcomed. But the information we get and the lack of action from the department is deplorable. But we need more action on this from that committee, on this council. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman McCready. And finally, Alderman Devaney, on my boy as well.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in, and I take on board the comments made by the previous two speakers. I think it's worrying, Mayor, to hear that there are more tonnage than what was expected, and my boy, if I'm picking that up right. But one thing that worries me, Mayor, is the report and leakage of toxins into the river. And I believe, Mayor, in this case, I believe, and I would make a proposal that we write to Northern Ireland Water to investigate, to ask the investigation and around this and around the toxins. Is that water still safe? Because there are a lot of that water used for drinking water when it goes down into further equipment further down the river. And it'd just be to get an update on it, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Devaney. Yeah, happy to take that proposal in terms of writing to NI Water around the quality of the water. I'm happy to take that. There was lots of other concerns and questions raised there that have all been noted, and I'm sure will be taken forward by Karen and the department. Okay, oh yes, we do. We have Councillor Maguire, matters rising.
Thank you, Mayor. It's in relation to the Newton Stewart Town Centre regeneration framework, and I suppose I also received the wrath of the lack of progress or the very slow progress from some of the traders in Newton in relation to the lack of a master plan for the area, the lack of the car parking facility, and you know, the castle that's in the middle of Newton Stewart. What can be done to maybe bring more tourism and around that there. And the other lack of capital investment, like street furniture, different things like that there. That's what they have been asking. And I know there's been a little progress and a meeting due in the new year. But I think it would be remiss of me not to bring it up here on behalf of the traders that came to me. And also the baseline report, traffic parking report. Could I have a copy of that there sent to me as well, just?
Thank you, Councillor Maguire, and I'm sure that will be sent out to you. Okay, and finally for matters rising, Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor. The first one was item 254, the bilingual signage meeting. Something that hasn't been forthcoming yet is costs on signs that I had asked for. So I'm just reiterating my request that we receive a cost on signage and what it is costing council, just as a fact. Can I move on to the second item, which is 262, and it's actually a follow-on from Councillor Maguire's point?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Totally agree with Councillor Maguire. Councillor Edwards has raised the issue. I'm sure that others, like myself, have been contacted by representatives from the Newton Stewart community as to, you know, what the blazes is going on. Is basically what people are asking. And in view of that, I want to make a proposal. I'm just typing it in now, which would be that. See it myself now as I've typed it in. That council convene a meeting with the relevant community representatives, officers and dairy councillors to clarify the present situation. We're receiving information from various, we receive it from the community representatives, from the trader representatives, from officers, but get everybody in the one room to clarify the situation. From the point of view of us as elected representatives, it's something that we should be over. So I'm just making that proposal, Chair, or Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Maguire, go ahead.
Could I propose an amendment that it would be the business representatives? It was the business that initiated this.
We need a seconder for the actual proposal first before we can take an amendment.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire. Go ahead. Go ahead, Councillor Maguire.
Propose the amendment that it's the business representatives or the traders that actually the people that initiated this in the first place.
Is that, through you, Mayor, is that in addition or is that instead of community reps?
Is it on the screen?
So instead of...
Yeah. So on screen is incorrect then?
So what's on the screen there, Councillor Maguire, is what you're suggesting, business representatives. So that's the amendment that you're proposing? Yeah. You want community representatives taken out?
That initiated this, so I don't mind either way. Like we'll leave community in, but
So we're leaving community organisations and adding business. Okay. Can I get a seconder for your amendment? Thank you, Councillor McHugh. Councillor Cusack, were you looking to speak?
No, Mayor, but I'm just a bit confused as to why you would keep one section out when the two of them should be actually conversing together. It doesn't make sense to me. It's not my area and I'm not familiar with it, but I just think, you know, anybody that's involved should be included.
Well, they're both there now. So are we content with the proposal? Because I think if we just are content with the proposal, we'll take it forward and organise a meeting with the community organisations and the business leaders. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody speaking against it, so happy to take that proposal as passed.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Maguire.
Okay, and no further matters arising from Environment Regeneration. So going to take the Health and Communities Committee held on the 10th of November. So proposer and seconder for that. Proposed Councillor McGinley and seconded by Councillor Michaela Boyle. Okay, any matters arising from Health and Communities? Councillor Harkin.
Thanks, Mayor. This is in relation to HC 261/21. And we, at the Health and Community meeting, talked about and we commended the Royal College of Nurses for their vote in favour of strike action. And they voted overwhelmingly for strike action, which is unfortunate. But it shows the resolve of our nurses to stand up for themselves, stand up for their patients, and to stand up for the health service. And I want to also now commend and encourage Council to commend the overwhelming votes by Unison members and by NIPSA members who voted, those who voted in the high 90s, 90% and more for industrial action. And there's been a discussion in the last week about how to resolve the health crisis. And I have heard the representatives of the Tory party and others suggest that we should just formally now create a two-tier system where the wealthy and those with the means are able to fully embrace a privatised system. Now, unfortunately, as we all know, there is many elements already of a private healthcare system because of, I think, privatisation from Westminster and Stormont. But to formally create that, I think it would be a disaster. I think we would end up with a basement healthcare system for the vast majority of people, and then the best quality healthcare system for the rest. I think that the way to resolve and to save our healthcare system and make sure it isn't completely broken is to properly tax those with broad shoulders, and that's big corporations and the super wealthy, to fund a health service that we can all benefit from. And that has to, at the centre of that, has to be paying our health and social care workers properly. So if there are strikes, it'll be very unfortunate, but I don't think that our health service workers want to go on strike. I think that they feel this is the only way for their voice to be properly heard. It's the only way for them to get a pay raise. It's the only way for them to take action around safe staffing. And it's the only way to kind of make sure that the crisis in the health centre is centre stage. So again, I urge the council and all political parties to commend Unison members and NIPSA for bravely taking a stand to save our health service. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Harkin. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 267, and it's in regard to bylaws and powers. The Head of Health and Community Wellbeing advised been liaising with our own lead legal services officer. Is there any comeback on that? Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, through you, that obviously will be taken forward following on from this meeting.
Thank you. Any further matters arising from Health and Communities? Nope.
That's right, Mayor. Item 269 in the chat box. And you would expect this one coming through. The Council do not accept the recommended proposal in temporary licensing from the Health and Community Committee.
Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. No, I was just getting to the right bit of our papers. Okay. Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Do you have a seconder for your proposal? Nope. No seconder for the proposal. So I'm going to move on. Thank you.
Mayor, I'll second that there.
Right, I'll take it. Yeah, you did. I could see you getting the glasses on. Okay, I'll take your second then. Councillor Tierney on this issue.
Well, it's not really, Mayor, but I think Alderman Guy's lateness for seconding shows what I'm going to raise. It's extremely difficult to hear, particularly Alderman Hussey online, and I don't know. Maybe that's the reason why Darren was didn't hear what he was actually suggesting. So if we could look at that some way, because I think it's important. In relation, I wasn't going to speak in relation to the item, just to say that we'll not be supporting the proposal from Alderman Hussey. I've made our position clear at the committee and since, and we are in no mind for changing. I don't even know the reason and the rationale for the proposal. I can probably surmise what it is, but I don't know it because I couldn't hear what Alderman Hussey was saying. Regardless of what he says, my position would still be that offensive material, regardless of what its nature or what its background, should not be sold in this council district. So my point being, no matter what he says, if I can hear him or not, he's not going to convince me anyway otherwise, but I would still like to hear what he's saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tierney, and I would agree. I am using great concentration to try and hear people online this evening. Councillor Jackson and then Councillor Doyle.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. And I suppose, like others, we didn't pick up with what Alderman Hussey has said, but I can guess what he's referring to, and there's been. This item has been discussed at length at committee. It's been discussed at length following a notice of motion that was brought in. It was actually discussed prior to the notice of motion being discussed and decided upon at council. The simple fact remains is that there is no room for bigotry, sectarianism anywhere within council business. And no matter how much Alderman Hussey wants to leave an agenda, we're not going to be following it. So there is absolute zero tolerance to sectarianism within our council, and we won't be taking a backward step in relation to this. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Doyle.
Thanks, Mayor. I suppose it goes without saying, as I said at the time in my remarks about this, having brought this motion originally, I'm disappointed that this is the approach that's been taken by some. I have to say, I generally understand some of the issues that have been raised around this, particularly from Alderman Guy, who I think has assessed this in the way that it should be, even though I don't agree with his the outcome of his deliberations. But let's be clear, there is only one reason to oppose this proposal, and it's because people think that it's okay that people should be permitted in this city to offend other people. And listen, the days of one community telling another community what they can and can't do are over. They're long gone. They're not coming back. And these types of proposals from Alderman Hussey with regards to this sends a message that there are some people in this council who feel that it's perfectly all right to, amongst other things, sell power flags that out and out offend the vast majority of people who live here. I don't understand, and frankly, I'm uninterested at this point in the deliberations around that, because that is the reality, is that you either think that it's okay to offend people or you don't.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor. Like other councillors, I'm a bit frustrated that we're having this again. We've been through this a number of times in committee. And Mayor, the policy itself is a policy, a blanket policy throughout all licences given to vendors that are using our stalls. It is reasonable. It is taking advice from outside bodies like the PSNI to see what they would deem as something that could cause antisocial behaviour, and that's absolutely fine. This was obviously started because of one incident, but it's not. It's covering absolutely every other event going forward. So I understand Alderman Hussey's frustration here, but this policy is within our statutory duty to try and protect our good relations within the city and district, and us being able to give out licences to vendors who then upset that good relations isn't the way forward. So we're happy with the original proposal coming through from committee, so we won't be supporting the proposal today from Alderman Hussey. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Devane.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in, and we have no problem in supporting the proposal coming forward here. And once again, it's down to what is deemed as offensive. And the previous speaker has mentioned about the PSNI getting involved. I think the PSNI, when they're asked any questions in around offensive material, probably 9 times out of 10 don't even touch it. When we see some memorabilia up for dissident Republicans and you ask for to get it removed, they won't touch it, DFI won't touch it. So I'm just wondering, the only thing the police should be worrying about, or PSNI should be worrying about, if a thing is illegal. I don't think PSNI can get involved what is offensive, because what is offensive to Morris Devaney is not offensive to someone else sitting on the other side. So I think we have to be careful. And we talk about sectarianism very, very clearly. We heard earlier on from Alderman Hussey and around some chants, probably sectarian chants that were chanted at people at a remembrance service. You have to condemn that. And I know Alderman Hussey or Alderman Bresnan has been involved in a statement on around that, condemn it. So, when we talk about sectarianism, we have to talk about all sectarianism. And when we talk about sectarianism, even scratch the surface in the city here in London. And I continually get people telling me who walk over to the city side up and round the diamond with the Rangers top on them, the amount of verbal abuse that they get. And because of the Rangers, they're actually even spat on and spat at. So I think, look, there's a lot of issues to be addressed here. Thanks, Mayor.
Councillor Donnelly and sorry, Councillor Cheney, you've already spoke.
From my August Chair. Look, regarding what Councillor Doyle had said there, I think he's wrong, and it's very presumptuous to say that the only people who would have a problem with this would be people that would in some way have no issue with para flags or loyalist paramilitary. That can be further from the truth. Regarding myself as a Republican, my problem with this is that it's with the PSNI. You know, PSNI is it's sexist, racist, homophobic, and sectarian, and that's coming from its own members, whistleblowers. So we're expecting the PSNI to be holding anybody to account or making decisions that's going to be impartial. Is wrong. This is an organisation that, daily targets children in Republican or nationalist areas, heavy-handed searches and house raids. So, if you have an issue with this, which I do, it's not because some way endorse the flying of British Army or their proxies and loyalist paramilitaries. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the Chief Executive to take us through a vote.
Mayor, may I sum up?
Very, very briefly.
As the proposer of the motion, I think I have that right. Thank you, Mayor. I welcome the re-debating of this, but a lot of people seem to be talking who weren't party to the discussions in committee, because if they were and had listened to those who had concerns about the proposal as it stood, they would understand the concerns that enabled several on the committee to actually vote against the recommendation that was coming through. This is a procedural issue going through whereby if members think that in future this council should willy-nilly accept any recommendation coming through from the committee, then the democratic process is not being followed through. Committees make recommendations to council, and it's up to council to endorse or otherwise. So it's really just a continuation of the debate that did carry on in committee, and the debate was around particular issues as to identification of materials, and that has been ignored by many people who have talked in this. It's an issue that needs further consideration and liaison with those who would have to enact the particular issues. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Hussey, and it wasn't a motion, so you really didn't need to sum up, but we'll go to a vote now.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Breslin.
For.
Alderman Devaney.
For.
Alderman Guy.
For.
Alderman Hussey.
For.
Alderman Kerrigan.
For.
Alderman McCready.
For.
Alderman Thompson.
For.
Alderman Wark. Councillor Jason Barr.
Against.
Councillor Raymond Barr.
Against.
Councillor John Boyle.
Against.
Councillor Michaela Boyle. Councillor Carr.
Against.
Councillor Cusack.
Against.
Councillor Dobbins.
Against, John.
Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Doyle. Councillor Duffy.
Against.
Councillor Farrell.
Against.
Councillor Ferguson.
Against.
Councillor Fleming. Councillor Gallagher.
For.
Councillor Harkin. Councillor Heaney.
Against.
Councillor Jackson. Councillor Kelly.
Against.
Councillor Logue. Councillor McGinley. Councillor McGowan. Councillor Maguire. Councillor McHugh. Councillor McKinney. Councillor Mooney.
Against.
Councillor Norris.
Against.
Councillor O'Neill.
Against.
Councillor Riley. Councillor Sinoy Barr.
Against.
Councillor Tierney. Thank you. I have recorded 28 against, 9 for, and 1 abstention, so the proposal falls.
Thank you, Chief Executive. So the proposal that is currently in the minutes stands and passes. No further matters arising from the minutes of Health and Communities. So going to move on, and I'm going to ask that we be taken into confidential.